Good afternoon, teacher. My name is Luis Hernandez, and I'm going to talk about the Reggio Emilia approach, but I have to read it because it's not quite easy to learn and say it like if I actually know what I'm talking about. So, if you allow me. The Reggio Emilia approach is an innovative Italian philosophy that views the child as capable, curious, and the main driver of their own learning. The three pillars of this method: first, the child is the protagonist who express ideas through their 100 languages, art, movement, thoughts. The second environment is the third teacher, a beautiful, well space designed to inspire investigation. And the third pillar, the teacher is the researcher who practices the pedagogy of listening and documents all the children's works to make their thinking visible. Uh, in essence, Reggio Emilia approach is an active and collaborative dialogue where children, educator, and the community build knowledge together.
What is the Montessori method? The Montessori method is one of the most well-known and respected alternative pedagogies worldwide. It was developed by Italian educator and physician Maria Montessori in the early 20th century. It is an educational and philosophical approach based on the idea that the child is capable of being the driver of their own learning and development. Its core principle is respect for the child and their innate ability to learn and grow through free exploration in a carefully prepared environment. The fundamental pillars of this method are the child as an active agent, self-education. Trust is placed in the child's natural curiosity. They choose the activity they want to work in and their own pace, and lead through direct experience and repetition. 2. Independence and self-discipline are encouraged by allowing the child to make decisions and manage their time. Now we go from the prepared environment. Furniture and materials are adapted to the child's needs so they can access and work without adult assistance. The space is orderly and clean, with educational materials arranged in an accessible and logical manner. The prepared adult or guide. This is a good point, that the role of the teacher, called guide, is not to instruct, but to observe the child to identify their interests and needs. Their main task is to connect the child with the appropriate material at the right moment and then intervene as little as possible, allowing the child to discover and correct themselves. Now we go from the Montessori materials. These are concrete, hands-on, and self-correcting educational tools. They allow the child to detect and correct their own mistakes without adult intervention. They are designed to isolate a single quality or concept at a time, facilitating sensory learning before moving to abstract thinking. Now we go for mixed-age classrooms. Classroom typically group children within a 3-year age span, for example, 3 to 6 or 6 to 9.
Alternative methods or pedagogies are educational models that propose a fundamental shift from the traditional approach to teaching. They are characterized by being student-centered and considering learning as a comprehensive process that seeks the child's holistic development. Some many characteristics are a student agency, educator role, experiential learning, individualization and rhythm, and flexible environments. Objective in the 21st century. The main objective of alternative methods in education in the 21st century is to develop students who are autonomous, creative, and capable of adapting to a constantly changing world. This generates the goal of students achieving learning to learn and developing the so-called 21st century skills.
The Waldorf method is an alternative pedagogy created by Rudolf Steiner in Germany in the early 20th century. It is based on anthroposophy philosophy that views the human being as world, body, soul, and spirit. Principles of the Waldorf method. Holistic education aims for balanced development of thinking, emotion, and will. Respect for textual writing. Teaching adapts to the development stage without pressuring early academic learning. Experiential learning emphasizes art, music, play, storytelling, and manual work as core learning tools. One and natural environment. Waldorf classrooms often feature organic materials, soft color, and acoustic atmosphere. Now, traditional exam or grades focus on observing individual development rather than competition. Educational styles, early childhood, for play, imitation, and connection with nature. Primary school, styling of myths and legends, drawing, music, creative writing. Secondary school, critical thinking, science, philosophy, and artistic expression.
In conclusion, the Montessori, Waldorf, and Reggio Emilia methods represent three alternative pedagogical approaches that, despite their difference, share the fundamental goal of moving away from rigid instruction to focus on the child's holistic development. These three pedagogies, Montessori, Waldorf, and Reggio Emilia, emerge as powerful alternatives to the traditional educational model, based on the premise that the child is an active, competent being and the primary constructor of their own knowledge. Essentially, Montessori seeks functional independence through precision. Waldorf seeks creative freedom through imagination and lived experience. Reggio Emilia seeks collaborative thinking through expression and inquiry. All three approaches demonstrate that by respecting the child and offering an environment that responds to their intrinsic needs, learning becomes a process of discovery and interhuman development.